Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Brown. What's the name of this beautiful little boy?
It's Tom.
Hello, baby Tom. May I borrow your son for a few formal tests?
Sure, what is it about?
It is just some tests to prevent any pathology.
All right.
Here we are.
So, did you get something out of the tests?
Well, yes. Tom is in perfect health. However, something bothered us. He didn't pass the hearing test. Don't worry, it doesn't mean he's deaf, but he should come back in a few months to make some advanced tests.
Oh, thank you for warning us. We'll be aware of his behavior then.
3 months later, the Browns are back to the hospital for an appointment with an otolaryngologist. Tom had an audiometric test to measure his hearing ability.
Before showing you the results, I'd like you to tell me more about Tom's behavior at home. Have you noticed anything?
Actually, yes, we did. One day, while I was tidying the living room, I dropped a vase. I jumped, but Tom didn't react at all.
And one day, Tom was sleeping and my phone rang in his bedroom. But it didn't wake him up.
Well, this is totally in line with the results of the audiogram. As you can see, this curved line, which represents the frequencies Tom can hear, is way under the average. At this point, I can be sure that Tom suffers from a sensorineural hearing loss.
But what does it mean?
The human ear has 3 parts: the outer ear, middle ear, and the inner ear. In our inner ear, we have a lot of tiny hair cells that move and pick up the sounds that we hear. The movements are then converted to signals that are sent to our brain. Sensorineural hearing loss results from damage to or reduction of tiny hair cells in our inner ear. It cannot be cured, but don't worry, it doesn't mean you cannot communicate with him. There are many other ways to do so.
So, you mean that he'll never hear a sound?
Well, actually, he does hear really loud sounds from 70 to 19 decibels. But this is the point we need to talk about now. With a severe perception deafness, he won't be able to talk and hear normally. But you've got 2 options. Either you want him to communicate only with signs.
So we do what you said before?
Are you sure?
Yes. It's a tough choice, but we don't want him to have a hearing aid. We did some researches on the life of unimplanted deaf people, and we realized that they can live in a normal way, with their differences. We'll learn the BSL to be able to communicate with him, and he'll join a specific school.
I totally understand this choice. It is going to be a long learning process, but I'm sure your son will blossom in this way of life.
Thank you very much for your attentiveness.
Tom grew up without using hearing aids, talking BSL with his parents, and going sometimes to the otorhinolaryngologist for a checkup of his hearing abilities. He joined a specific school with other deaf children, where he made really great friends. At 7 years old, he joined a specific class within a school where hearing children are sent. At the beginning, it was hard for him to be integrated, but with time, the curiosity of each group had them mingling and finding a way to communicate with each other. For all that, these deaf and hearing children will live differently because of their habits and the way they perceive the world.
Either you want him both to benefit from the use of hearing aids, so that he can talk, and to use sign language.
Tom's parents chose to promote oral speaking mixed with sign language. Tom had an operation and get a cochlear implant, which substitutes some inner ears functions. Mrs. and Mr. Brown have contacted the British Deaf Association in order to help them communicate with their son using sign language. At the age of 1, Tom starts speech therapy and learns oral speaking in association with sign language.
So, this health monitoring will be useful to create a bridge between sign language and oral speaking, and to develop lip reading, develop multisensoriality, to help Tom to adapt with his cochlear implant, to improve socialization, and to encourage Tom to interact with his environment. So Tom, repeat after me. A book.
A book.
Tom gets a multidisciplinary health monitoring, speech therapist, audioprothesist, otolaryngologist. Thanks to this health approach, Tom is able to integrate an ordinary school and to mingle with other children.
Whatever the choice you'll make, you will be happy. So, what do you want to do?